Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Get Real. You're listening to Brenda
and Ashley, and we are back this week. Obviously, you guys probably noticed that we did not post last week, and that was in light of everything that's happening. Of course, we didn't want to stay silent on the matters of everything going on, Black Lives Matter movement. We did need the time to kind of process everything and come to you guys with the right words.
Yeah, we know that we have a platform, and we want to bring awareness, and we want to educate people and talk about the situation. Like Ashley said, we did take some time just to kind of reflect and understand what was going on. But our main point right now, as you guys can see, we want to bring awareness to the Black Lives Matter, and we need to talk about it and address the matter because it's something that is not changing, unfortunately. And it's sad to see that we've come so far, and yet we still see the same thing happen over and over and over again.
So really what we want to do today is, like Brenda said, bring awareness, but also kind of show you guys how you can educate yourselves, what you can do, and just figure out what we can all do in whatever position we're in. Yeah.
It's important to educate everyone and, have a full understanding of what's going on right now, because it's gotten to the point where things are just getting out of hand, and we are not trying to make a change. We consistently talk about we want to make a change, we want to make a difference, we are fighting for equality, all these type of things that are a big thing, but we're not really understanding it. And that's the point. It's like we talk about it and we see these things that are happening, but we're not doing anything about it. And I think that's the most important thing, is just trying to educate ourselves and understand what it is that's going on.
And what Brenda and I were saying is that educating ourselves is important, but also it starts with the kids. So it starts with educating children from a young age. I feel like even everything that's going on right now, if you have a little brother, you have a little sister, you have a cousin, you have whoever, a son, a daughter, start educating them now, because your beliefs are built as a child. And it's like what you were saying, like you educated Johnny on some of it, right?
Yeah.
Her little brother.
And that's important too, because again, like, they are the future generation, and it doesn't necessarily end there. And in order for us to make a change going forward, it's like Ashley says, like, we need to teach them. As hard as it is, it's a tough situation to be in, and it's difficult because we have to tell our kids why these things are happening. It's not something easy to talk about your kids, to talk about your parents too, because there's some parents who also need to be put in place and let them know what it is they're saying and how they're saying things can affect other people's lives. So I think it starts there, really. It just starts with educating people. Whether they don't know, tell them, like, listen, watch this movie, read this book, understand it. Because I've always told Ashley, like, I understand it to a certain level. I don't wear my color on my sleeve, so for a person to identify me from my race, it's not the same, right? And that's how I'm going to speak on behalf of white people. Like, I don't wear my color on my sleeve, so it's different for me as a person. Anyone who sees me will think I'm white, so I can technically say that I'm white privileged.
Because people don't perceive you as like a person of color, a black person. Another thing that I want to say is, like, it's important to have the hard conversation, because it's not easy to check your friends. Like, it's not. Like, if your friend says something racist or problematic, or just something like down to little things like, oh, I want light-skinned babies, or oh, I want like, it starts with little comments like that you start checking your friends. And I'm not saying like that is in itself racist, but like little things like that are already ignorant. But it gets so much worse to the point that, people have a very malicious and wicked perception of black people. And if you are around these type of people, A, you don't need these people in your life, but B, check them. Like, start checking your friends, and don't be afraid to educate them and let them know, like, what is wrong, what is right, because you can't expect them to know, because not everyone's going to know or understand, and it sucks, but that's just the reality. Like, people just don't know. They don't do the research. They don't educate themselves, and I think it's, as a black person, this is Ashley speaking, obviously, so I think it's important that someone in my position will do what I can to educate my friends and my loved ones when they haven't done that work themselves, and at least they can do with information what they want. And you want to have those hard conversations, because it will create a better world eventually if we all just did that collectively.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to what I said about wearing my color on my sleeve, that's the importance of it, right? Like, I don't wear my color on my sleeve, so I will never understand it to the level that Ashley understands it. I can understand it if she talks to me about it, if I see her feeling vulnerable, if I see her feeling upset. I can understand it in that way, but I will never understand it the way that other Black people have to see it and feel it all the time. They live with it, right? And this goes back from time. This is not something that's just happening now. It's coming to light now because everyone's recording it, everyone's putting it on blast, but this has been happening from time. You know, this is something that we've been fighting for way back, and that's the sad part. I feel it's just like we've been fighting for this for so long, and to see things like this happen, it's like, what have we been doing all this time? Like, has there, like, have people been taking it seriously? Like, there's just no progress. There's nothing that's changed. So it's kind of, what's going on? Like, what are we doing wrong? Are we not educating our people? Are we not enforcing it? Are we just doing it because it's a trend? Like, we have to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. And this goes back, it's like I had this conversation with Ashley, right? And for me, I didn't totally understand it to that level. I understand it because I've learned about it in school. I've heard people talk about it. I've seen the videos that's been going on. I've seen the tweets. But it's important to re-educate ourselves. Like, again, like, I took history. They educate us on history from, like, grade 7
Yeah, but they don't tell
to
us
grade
shit
10.
about Black people.
And then after that, it's kind of like you only really hear about it or see it when it's out there. So it's important. Like, if you don't know or if you forgot, educate yourself, read the books, watch the movies, and, like, just research on it, because it's something that, honestly, like, you just have to really understand it in order to fully want to make a movement and be part of the movement.
Exactly. It's like what we were saying earlier. Like, don't be doing all this because it seems trendy, right? Like, I was telling Brenda about how I saw this screenshot of these girls going to the riot, and, like, it was, like, their text message said, and they were like, oh, like, I want a riot outfit. Oh, let's get drunk before we go. And they're just, like, going to take an Instagram picture, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's not a party. It's not a rave. Don't be posting things and not knowing what you're posting about. Like, okay, you did Blackout Tuesday, but, like, what is Blackout Tuesday? Do you know what Blackout Tuesday means? What is all the stuff that you're sharing? Is any of it helpful, or is it just like you feel like you're obligated to do so because everyone else on Instagram's doing it, and if you post a selfie, you're shallow? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if you are participating, thank you. But it's also important that you are participating in, you know, bringing awareness from a genuine place, and that you are doing the work yourself and not just posting shit. Like, practice what you preach, and don't do it for the wrong reason. But I mean, hey, if you're doing it, you're doing it, so thanks. But, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be mad that people are doing it because I'm happy about that, but also just, like, be genuine with it. And I think it would be a lot better for everybody.
Yeah. Again, I see it too. Like, I remember seeing a video of a girl getting out of her car and posting a picture showing that she's helping in the Black Lives Matter movement. And then she goes back in her car and was like, okay, cool, like, we got it. And it's like, you can't do that kind of stuff because, again, like, what are you really trying to do? You're not really making a change. You're not teaching anybody anything because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And that, again, is how we go through things without really making a difference, because you're just doing it just to say, hey, yeah, cha-ching, I did it. Like, it's done. I can be happy with myself. I did something. It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't. Shit. So people, like, honestly, like, it's like when people talk about, like, oh, do people really have to go and destroy these stores, and do really people have to do that? It's like, listen, you haven't been in their position. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know if they lost their brother, their sister, their mom, their dad through this whole chaos. So if they want to break the store, let them do it. But if a white person wants to do it just to get a Gucci band, or, oh, you know, we were in pandemic, so I couldn't make the money, let me cop those Vans shoes, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and that's just fucked up. Like,
that's evil.
Like,
again, if you're some white guy that's just like, yo, like, everyone's looting Gucci right now, like, we won't get caught if we go, fuck you. But honestly, I won't question anybody Black that's doing it. Do what you gotta do to let your voice be heard, because it's like what everyone was saying, like, this is the type of shit that happened that made changes within the LGBTQ plus community. Like, riots had to happen, things had to be fucked up, and that's totally fine. I'm here for it. Do what you gotta do, because that's what's getting our voices heard. Yes, it, you know, nobody wants us to get to this point, but we've been peaceful for so fucking long that it's going to come to a point where we have to get a little more aggressive. We have to get a little more wild. Like, we have to start doing more, because clearly being peaceful is not doing shit. It's not doing anything. Nobody gives a fuck about us, and that's what's sad.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's important that if you're going to do it, great, thank you, bring awareness where you can, post those pictures, talk about it, educate. But if you're doing it all for the wrong reasons, then, like, it's gonna help, of course, but it's not gonna make the movement go further. It's not gonna show a progress, because, again, it's like you're just doing it to get it done, and it's like that's not the motive here. The motive here is to make that change, is to change what's going on, is to finally find justice for all those lives. And if you're not gonna do it properly, then, like, there's going to be no change. That's going to be the result. There's no change.
It's going to go away in a week, and then people are going to stop talking about it. Like, if this movement is just filled with a bunch of people that are not genuine, then this will all kind of fade out in a week, and then things are going to go back to how they were. But we need people on board that are actually, that care about our cause and that really want to make a difference. And that's what's going to change the world, to be honest.
Yeah. So a couple of ways that you guys can help. Obviously, people have been posting certain things, and, you know, thanks to everyone, again, who's part of this movement, people who think that little things won't go a long way. It does. It really does. And again, if you're doing it for the genuine reason to make that change, it starts with you. So by you posting and reposting and sharing that information, it's very helpful, because even I've seen it, and there was ways that I wanted to do everything possible that I couldn't do, right? Like, by donating, by hearing these videos, by listening to this music. So we're going to share with you a couple of things. First and foremost, if you can, donate to whatever fund you want. We will definitely be posting a picture or something, so you guys can click the link and then, you know, do your part. I know right now we're going through a pandemic, so I know for some people it's really hard, you know, to have the funds for it. But all I'm saying is, if you're here getting that government check and you can afford to buy your Sephora foundation, or your Gucci belt, or your Fila shoes.
Even just like iced coffee 3 days in a row is $15 that can be going towards a cause. Like, even if you only have $5 to donate.
And that's my thing too, right? I'm not saying to donate all your funds. Donate like what you can. $5, $10, any bit that you can will definitely go a long way. Even
a fucking dollar, anything. Because at the end of the day, if 1 million people are each donating $1, that's $1 million. You know what I mean? We also have ways to support the cause that don't require any money. So there's this post that Brenda found by a YouTuber named Zoe Amira, and this is a really good way of supporting the cause with no money. So I'm going to read to you the thread. I guess it's just like a repost of what this is all about. So, how to donate to Black Lives Matter when you have no money. A Black woman named Zoe Amira posted a video on YouTube. This video is an hour long, and it's filled with art and music from Black creators. It has a ton of ads, and in result will rack up a ton of revenue. 100% of the ad revenue from the video will be dispersed between various Black Lives Matter organizations, including bailout funds for protesters. It will be split between the following, dependent on necessity. So, like, even what Brenda said earlier, you like played it for like an hour or something, right? And you just like let it run. Like, you don't actually have to sit there and watch it if you really don't have the time or don't want to. But I'm sure everybody has a computer with multiple tabs, and just like leave it open and let those ads run and let it accumulate income. As somebody that literally does YouTube for a living, I can tell you that when people watch your ads, it makes a difference, because that's what pays my rent. So doing something like that will literally make such a difference, and it's an easy way.
Another way to help would be to consume content from Black creators. So again, whether that's on Spotify, YouTube, anything, that definitely helps as well.
Yeah, so that can literally just be like watching a video, streaming their music or whatever. Another way is to shop at Black-owned businesses. So if you know that you need some new face wash, then maybe you could buy some face wash from a Black business. Maybe you can buy that freaking, I don't know, incense from a Black business. Or even just food. Like, do you know a dope-ass Jamaican restaurant down the street? Like, why don't you buy from them instead of buying from some chain restaurant this week, you know? So just little things like that. If you're going to consume anyways, you may as well, you know, go straight to a Black-owned business in this time, because we're all kind of going through a lot right now, and it would really be beneficial to all of us to see that support from our community.
Yeah, and another way, too, would be to repost work of Black artists. And again, even if it's like on Instagram or your social media account, use your platforms and like share stuff. And who cares if people get annoyed of it? If they want to unfollow you, that's what the button is there for. But again, if you're doing it for the right reasons, then that's all that matters, and your true followers will support you and will repost those stuff. So make sure you do that.
And it's important to also understand that it doesn't matter if you have 200 followers or 10,000 followers or whatever, because people are seeing it, and that's going to make a difference in itself. Even just the fact that you can, support these people, I think that's enough for them. Like whether it's a photographer or a producer or a painter, whoever it is, like even just reposting them will show that support, and that's beautiful. Another way is simply just to educate and call your friends out that don't know about the cause or that are ignorant or say problematic things. Let them know, okay, like you don't need to get mad. Just let them know this is problematic and this is why and this is how you can be better.
Yeah. And
it's awkward, but it will make a difference. Trust me.
Yeah, I always live by the rule of just be careful and be mindful of what comes out of your mouth. I always say this. I say it all the time when I know something's about to happen or like people say the wrong things, because again, like you can say something and mean it in a complete different way than how you're trying to portray it. Just be mindful, because again, you can say something and mean it in a nice way, but it can sound very bad. It's like when people carelessly use the N-word. It's like it's just very unnecessary.
Yeah.
You're basically here fighting for Black Lives Matter, but you're using those type of words to distinguish people. It's just not right.
I don't give a fuck if it's in a song. I don't give a fuck if you grew up in the hood. I don't care if all your friends are black. I don't want to hear you saying that word if you're not black.
Exactly. And if you're singing it or you're just saying it as a joke, like you have to understand that these words mean a lot. It's like when the LGBTQ plus came out and people were talking about it, and sometimes people would use the F word. You can't just be throwing out words like that and just saying like, oh, I just meant it as a joke, or oh, I was just, expressing my, like, no, like if you don't know what those words mean and the history of these words, then don't fucking say it. Just don't. Again, this is why I say educate yourself and learn these things, because then you will understand how words like that can really affect a person. And that's why I always live by that rule is like, listen to what you're about to say. Does it sound right? Because again, it could come out a wrong way.
Be careful with your words, but also like there are very, very, very obvious words that we should all just avoid, and there will be no problems. Another important one is to make the effort to understand. So obviously we've touched on this, but if that means asking questions that you think are dumb, ask questions. Like ask your friends so that you're not ignorant. Of course, you want to be very open-minded, and you want to understand that this is a sensitive topic, but ask questions and educate yourself, because I'm sure any of your friends will understand that maybe you don't understand, and that's okay, but make the effort to understand as much as you possibly can, because these are people you love and care about, and this is a movement that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, and again, not knowing what's going on is okay. It's okay. And I was talking to Ashley about it. It's just crazy to me how we really only have 4 years of history. And honestly, they don't cover everything that, we need to know and that brought history to life, right? So I think it's important to ask if you don't know, like how Ashley said, and it's fine. Like if you're asking and saying, listen, I know it's something that's a very touchy topic, but can you make me understand this more? Like, why is this happening? Why did this go down? And why are people so involved? And ask those questions. It's totally fine, as long as you're not attacking somebody and saying like, I don't understand what's going on, this is not a big problem.
Do your part. And like as a black woman, I could tell you 100%, if one of my white friends came up to me and said that and said like, hey, like I don't really get what's happening, can you please explain it to me because I'm really confused, I would be so happy. Like my best friend, she asked me like right before the movement even started, like when it was just like touching the media, she asked me like what happened. So like I broke it down for her to the best of my knowledge, because at that point I hadn't seen the video and I didn't really know what was happening as much, but I was explaining it all to her, and she was like, I was really happy that she asked me about it, because it just means a lot when you see that people are invested and actually care, and they don't shy away from being like, I don't know what's going on. Like, and it's fine, but do your part.
Yeah, and again, like even me, like during this time, I made that a big goal of mine was to rewatch these movies and re-educate myself and understand the problem in a bigger picture. Because again, I know sometimes we have to retouch the topic, we have to research on it, we have to become more involved. Because if you're like me, I'm the type of person that for me to fully understand something, I need to do my research. I need to read about it, I need to watch it, I need to talk about it, as hard as the conversation might be. But again, all those things are fine. Those are fine because you're trying to educate yourself, you're trying to make a change, you're trying to be part of that movement, and you want to understand it, which is good. Because again, you don't want to just be doing it because it's a trend. You want to be doing it because you know what's happening and you know you want to be a part of that change. For me too, like, I've been seeing a couple of things that really brought more light into my understanding of things. Billie Eilish was one of those. She really, really laid it out there.
She really, like, simplified it for people that know nothing.
Yeah.
I really fucked with her after that post. You know me, I don't really fuck with Billie Eilish. And when I read that, I was like, any little white girl that is ignorant or doesn't know shit, I'm sorry, like, I'm not saying all white people are like, I'm just saying, like, to the little white kids that don't know anything and are going to they are going to listen to Billie Eilish, she really simplified it in the best way for them. With freaking how many million? 100 million followers?
Yeah, and it's really good to see white people do these type of things because they're the white privileged, right? Yep. They will never, it's like how I say, I will never understand it to the level of where I lived through it. So for her to really put herself there and really kind of put her in a position where she's putting her life aside for others, I thought that was really strong. That was really like moving to watch.
And I know people unfollowed her for it, for sure.
Probably, but again, she did it for the right reasons and she didn't care. So I think she did a great part in it. Ariana too, she was there, she was marching, she posted pictures, she reposted, she talked about it. She also did a really good job. Vanessa Bryant also talked about it because a lot of people were talking about all lives matter. So she made it clear to people that, you know, we're not saying that all lives don't matter, right? And she put in a phrase where saying that, you know, if you have two houses side by side and you see one's burning down and you're going to water it, you're going to water the one that's on fire because that's the one that's burning. Yes, both houses are important, but you're going to pay attention to the one that is really going down right now and that's really, you know, getting affected by this. So that's a good point that she pointed out too, because a lot of people are talking about like all lives don't matter, or
I fucking hate. Okay, so here's the thing. This is like the simplest. Sorry to cut you off. The simplest way to put it. It's like I just keep seeing the same thing, and it's true. All lives don't matter until Black lives do. That is the key here. And then the other key is we know that people matter, but what we're saying is Black lives matter doesn't mean only black people matter, because I even myself have been getting DMs about all lives matter. And I don't even have that many followers. But we're here saying, yes, sure, people matter, but Black lives matter too. Honestly, it really comes down to, if you haven't experienced what black people haven't experienced, then you can't be speaking on the situation in a negative way. You can't be saying anything because you don't know what it feels like. Even down to little things, like I walk in a fucking store and I feel like everybody has their eyes on me. This is the worst. Like, this is like kind of off topic, but like, even just me being in a store when I don't look my best, if I have like sweatpants on and a hoodie on or whatever, I feel like, okay, they think I'm stealing. You know what I mean? And it's really fucked up that like we have to go through little things like that every fucking day, every single day. I went to the fruit market the other day and I felt paranoid because I left with nothing. I'm like, damn, they probably think I fucking stole things. And these things happen every day because every race is like, there's people in every race that are racist towards black people. So it's also like, even to go back to what you're saying about Trump and the Chinese virus and all that stuff and the terrorist comments that people make, very ignorant people make, Brenda and I also want to talk about the importance of voting, because look at your fucking president if you're American and tell me voting is not important. Like, that shit is so important.
This is another reason why I say, like, use your words, make a change. It starts with you. Even when the elections happen here in Toronto, in Canada, I made it. I told everyone. You can see my work group chat. I made people like, if you are over the age and you're a Canadian citizen, go freaking vote. I was even like, if you need to step out for 3 minutes to go vote, I'll take your shift. Just go and do it. Because again, we're lucky enough that we're not in the position of where they are in the States.
We don't have Trump as our fucking leader of our country.
But again, like, if we continue to not do anything and be that person in silence and just go with the flow, you don't know what can happen. And these are the things too, like if we fought for these rights, we fought for voting, we fought for, you know, people having the freedom to vote and have the freedom to talk and all these things, why are you not using them?
Use it to your advantage, people.
People have been fighting for these type of things for so long for you to just be like, oh, whatever, it's fine, I'm not gonna do it. It's like, what?
It takes 5 minutes. It
Right?
takes 5 minutes. And like, you guys having Trump as your leader should be enough motivation to be like, maybe I should go out and vote. Maybe my one vote does make a difference. Every vote makes a difference. Every single vote makes a difference. So go do your part and be responsible and go vote. So Brenda did a lot of research in this past week, which is amazing. So I think it's important that you kind of share some of the things that helped you understand our perspective better as Black people, and what helped you be less ignorant to what's going on.
A lot of those people, those influencers, artists that talked about the issue really brought it to a full understanding for me. It really kind of put me in that position to understand like the bigger picture here, right? I also watched a couple movies. I did watch The 13th, which is on Netflix if you guys want to watch it. It talks about, you know, the prisons and how a lot of prisoners right now are mostly Black people. There's a couple of movies that I still have yet to watch that a lot of people have told me to watch and to kind of, you know, have a fuller understanding. And I think it's also important for you guys. So I'm also going to post it out there. We're going to leave a link for you guys, again, to there's books, there's music you can listen to, things that really bring it to light. So 13th was one of the movies that I watched that really brought a little bit more of awareness to me. I don't know if you guys know who Marsha P. Johnson is. That was also a very good documentary to watch, not just for the Black lives, but also she was an advocate for gay rights. So it was very educational, and I think it's important for people to have a fuller understanding on that too, because again, discrimination comes from always, right? If you're here fighting for Black Lives Matter, you also have to understand that there's also other things too where you can definitely, you know, bring awareness to. Gay rights is another one. Equality, discrimination, all those things kind of tie hand in hand. So that was a good documentary. I also watched a documentary, Jeffrey Epstein, and that was also a good one to understand how corrupt the government can really be, because I don't want to spoil it for people, but basically this man was a billionaire. He was rich, and he got away with a lot of shit for 10-15 years that people were fighting, and he just consistently kept, you know, and that was another movement that was happening. I don't know if you heard about it, but the Me Too movement.
Yes.
So that's how it kind of started, because it was a woman who wrote and said, you know, if you were part of this, you know, start with the Me Too, and then it kept going, and people were, you know, actively talking about it and bringing awareness to it. So that's also, it's not truly about Black lives, but it's also to educate people and to understand how corrupt the government and how corrupt the system can really be. And again, that goes back to voting and how we talked about it's important to, you know, put your voice out there, vote and make a change, because again, like, if we don't make a change now, things will look darker.
One more thing I want to touch on, which is something that I've seen examples of on social media that I just want to share to the people who might not have read this yet. A good example of, you know, this whole situation with crooked cops and evil fucking police officers is that, you know, we're mentioning that we can't be having bad cops. Like, I understand these fucking people are like, Blue Lives Matter. Have you heard of Blue Lives Matter?
No.
It's fucking cops matter. Yes, okay, cops matter, sure. I don't care about that right now. We're talking about Black lives. So people are talking about Blue Lives Matter. Not all cops are bad cops. I understand that not all cops are bad cops. We fucking get that. But what I've been reading a lot of that I love is the example of we can't be having bad cops if it's at the expense of another person's life, specifically a Black person's life, right? So they're saying that we wouldn't have you know, a whole bunch of pilots and be like, oh, you know, 70% of our pilots are good, but 30% of them can't really fly a plane. So, you know, they might crash because not all of them are good pilots. Like, you wouldn't have a bad pilot in a profession in which people's lives are in their hands, flying in through the air, risking everyone's life. Like, there are no bad pilots, right? So why are there bad cops? Why is it that in a profession that other people's lives are at stake, they're so willing to accept people into the force and just allow these bad cops to work? Like, what is it that's, you know, why are they not being discovered before they kill people?
Yeah.
Why are there bad cops just fucking floating around the police force? Why is that a thing? I don't understand it.
Yeah, because even the George Floyd, the police officer that, you know, put his knee down on him, they were also doing, like, background history, and apparently he's had other, like, things on his record.
And why is that okay? Why is it just like, oh, no one's died yet, so, like, we don't really need to look into it? Like, no, that's fucked up. And why are these people, these white people, just float? Like, you gotta know when someone's racist, you know? You gotta know when someone's racist. If you have a coworker that's racist, you know they're racist. Racists don't hide it, you know, especially around other white people. I remember I had a coworker a while ago. He was a racist guy, and I found out from another white coworker, and I would have never thought he was racist, but the white people knew he was racist. So why are you working alongside people and just being like, oh yeah, they're racist, but you're in this career? So it's not just the bad cops that play a role in this. It's also the people who enable the behaviors and don't speak up. And then when they find out they killed someone black, they're like, I mean, that makes sense. If anyone was going to kill a black guy, it'd be him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's really sad because when you think about cops, you think about these people who are here to serve and protect. And yet they're here, you know, killing people and, like, destroying families. And it's just not okay. Like, if you're going to stand for what you're working for, do the right thing. Do your job right.
Serve and protect everyone.
Yeah. And it's really messed up because I've seen an article about it too, and how some people are really scared with the whole protest going on, and how some cops are like, you know what, I have to step down because I don't want to be, you know, the one that's on the floor. I don't want to be the one that, and this is the thing too, right? When you get into the field that you're getting into, you have to understand that this is kind of what you signed up for.
This comes with the job.
It's like nurses. They didn't know that pandemic was going to happen, but they're still there, and they're here to help us. They're here to cure us, to help us get better. So if you're a police officer, again, your slogan is to serve and protect. So if you're a good cop and you're here because you're scared, just know that by you being scared and walking away from your job, you're letting the bad cops continue to be where they are. And that's not really helping the situation. If you're a good cop and you know that, you know, there's a friend of yours who's not so good as you, put them in check. Tell them, listen, this is not how we do it. You know, the system did not teach you to arrest someone and put your knee on them. Some things can be easily avoided. You can easily have a conversation, talk to them, do the right thing. Like, there's other ways to do things. You don't want to do things and do the wrong thing.
Especially when someone's life is at stake. You're not God, you know, that's not your call. You can't just take someone's life because you fucking feel like it. So that's what we have to say on the matter. If you guys want to talk about it, we're going to have, you know, some posts up on our page. Feel free to go off in the comments and we will be responsive. We will hear you out. If you are racist, you will be fucking blocked.
As a matter of fact, if you are racist, just go and do us a favor. Hit that unfollow, hit that unsubscribe, mute us, do what you got to do. But, you know, if you're going to follow us, you have to be with us.
You have to be. Exactly. So with that being said, guys, we're taking a break.
I know, it's sad to say. Honestly, I think it's a good time. I don't think we could have asked for a better time because right now we're going through a lot of fucked up shit. And I think with that, we also want to find ways to make ourselves and bring more awareness to what's going on, right? So we're going to make changes, a couple of changes we want to make to our own podcast, things that we want to enhance, we want to upgrade, we want to, you know, make better for you guys, try to find how we can make better content.
Plan some episodes in advance, maybe change our little picture, maybe add a freaking intro music. We don't know what we're doing yet, but just know that things are going to change. And what's interesting is that we actually had this break planned for episode 20 for weeks now. It just so happens that it's at a time where, you know, the break is well needed. We don't need to be on social media talking about red flags and dating and how to use an app and, you know, stuff like that, mindless stuff, when there's more important things going on in the world right now. So I'm grateful for this time that we're going to take off, and as much as we're going to miss you guys, and we hope you miss us too, we're going to take a break. We're thinking, like a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so minimum, and then depending on, you know, what's going on, we'll come back and we'll keep you guys updated on social media throughout the whole process.
Yeah. We'll definitely still be putting some content out there. We'll be doing some YouTube videos, keeping you guys in the loop of what's going to happen and the little changes that we're going to be doing. But this is mostly just to take a break and try to, you know, find ways to change things, find ways to make things better, to find better things to talk about. And again, you guys are welcome to DM us, ask us. We're not going to delete our account.
Yeah, we'll be here. Also, if you love the podcast, you love us, you want to support us, and yeah, just keep up with us on Instagram and our YouTube and stuff. And we will continue, like she said, being active. So you'll be able to get content from us. And then when we come back, we'll be back and better than ever.
Use this time to educate yourself.
Yes.
Use this time to catch up on the podcast. Use this time wisely. Again, you know, things happen for a reason. Me and Ashley were talking about how all this in 2020 has just been really fucked up. We have coronavirus. We got the killer hornets. It's just a lot. It's a lot in 2020. And we need to change just as much as this world does. So we'll definitely be back. We'll definitely keep you guys posted. And we'll definitely leave links and pictures and stuff for you to also be part of the movement, be part of this journey with us. You know, we want to do this together, and together we can make a change. So just remember that.
Together we stand, as the Cheetah Girls said.
That's a good line to leave it with.
Right. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. You can check us out on our social medias.
Our Instagram account is Let's Get Real the Podcast. Our Twitter account is Let's Get Real Pod.
Our YouTube channel is Let's Get Real Podcast. Just search us up and look for our logo. You'll find us pretty easily. So we hope you guys, I guess, I'm not even going to say enjoyed. We hope that you learned.
Awareness.
Yes, yeah.
I hope this brought awareness. It brought light to it.
Clarity.
And again, don't be scared. You know, I'm free to answer any questions. I'm sure Ashley, you know, is the same. So if you want to talk about it, we're here.
Yep.
And, you know.
That's pretty much it. Thanks for listening, guys. We love you, and we'll be back whenever the fuck we're back.
Bye.
Bye.